Hello, class. The question of the moment was how to add a thread, an externally cut thread, very similar to the item on the right side where you have a threaded piece and not everything is threaded. It's a unique part where I can't go online and find it somewhere. So I need to build it from scratch. So here's an example of just like any little part. The first step in creating a thread is identifying the sweep, the pattern that's going to be used to make the thread. So the best way to do that is to go into Sketch. If I'm going to do that, not actually Sketch, but go into Features and the Curves reference, where you have to create a sketch of a helical pattern, okay? Again, that's under Features. After References is called Curves, and you're picking Helix, okay? So the first thing you're going to do is, let's say I pick this plane. What it's actually asking at this point is to just literally draw a circle. The circle I'm drawing is the diameter of my cut, which I think is a little hard to explain because I'm using generic dimensions. I made this a 1/4 inch. So you do need to know the dimensions of whatever it is you're creating. So the diameter of my post is a 1/4 inch, so I'm going to make this 0.28, 0.2875, just to make it something different. That's important for creating the helical pattern. And now, as you can tell, it's going straight up, so I have to reverse the direction to drop it down. Now you're creating the shape of the helix itself. So the diameter of the helix is wherever the cut is going to, whatever the railing, you're creating the railing for the cut to be on. So revolutions, how many revolutions do you want? How many rotations? I'm going to go to the front view to show you what that means. This one showed 1. The pitch is the complete length, just like in making a thread. And that is the key to making any of these. So when you look at thread nomenclature, it is following that pattern of a thread nomenclature. So when you're looking at a thread nomenclature, which I'm trying to show you on the side here, that's literally what it's pulling for. What's the pitch? Well, it only has 1. So if I said 2 revolutions, then I say 2, and obviously the length is too long. So I have to identify the complete length, which is, I think I made this 1/2 inch. Nope, that's too far. Because you have constant pitch, variable pitch. Hold on. The length, I think this has to be 0.25. Nope, because the length of this is, I forgot, 3/8. I forgot how long I made this thing. Like I said, when you don't have exact dimensions, it makes it really hard to build this. So you do need to know what you're building. So I'm going to make this 125, and you'll see how it's 2 revolutions, 3 revolutions. That's how long, okay, the distance between each and how many revolutions. So if I said 3, let me pull this out. You've got 3 revolutions with an 1/8 inch pitch. So from here to here is an 1/8 of an inch, from here to here is an 1/8 of an inch. Clockwise or counterclockwise, meaning left thread or left-handed thread or right-handed thread. So I'm going to make something a little shorter. So I'm going to make it 0.0625. So it's a tighter thread. Okay. Now, if you don't want your thread to start at the very top, then you will have to put a plane in. Let me do that real quick. You have to add a plane at wherever you want your threading to start. So if you don't want it to end at the end and you don't want it to begin, exit out of that real quick. Not sure why it's in filter mode. Turn that off. There we go. So I'm going to pick this. I'm going to go add a plane. This time I'm going to add this one at 0.0625. So I'm actually going to put 2 threads in just to show you how you can make this. I'm going to create a sketch. I'm going to draw another circle. This one I'm also going to make, I forgot what size, 2875, just something, 0.2875. Hit OK. Now I'm going to go back to features. I'm going to go to curves. I'm going to pick helix. There's the next one. I'm going to change the direction. This one is going to be a pitch of 1/32 of an inch, so it's really tight. See that? And it should end, yes it does, before the other one begins. Okay, so now you have 2 different threads. They are going in opposite directions. Now, you'll notice there's a spot, there's an endpoint to each of these. There's an endpoint at the top and an endpoint at the bottom. I don't care which one you select, but whatever plane that endpoint is attached to, that's where you want to start your next sketch. Your next sketch is the actual cutting tool itself. And you do want to attach it in reference to this. So you create a little point, as I usually do. You can just convert entities and pick that little, don't want to pick the whole thing. Nope, nope, whoops. Go normal too. You don't want to pick the whole shape. So that one you don't want to do. You just want to pick that endpoint and no, it doesn't want to do it. So what you might be able to do is pick that endpoint and do intersection. Still not wanting to do that. So you'll have to create a point to attach to that point. See that? That reference point right there, whoops, and I created an extra one, is needed as your guide. See how it's attached? That's what you want. You want that one attached to create your next shape. Your next shape is the appearance of whatever it is you want it to look like. So for example, if your shape looks like this, I'm literally creating I'll create a rectangle here, and on the bottom one I'll create a triangle. There's your shape. Okay? This shape, now you can literally go ahead and sweep it, pick this shape, and send it down the slide, as I like to call it. Whoops. Sorry. And it just sweeps down, and that's it. When you hit OK, there is your thread. That's a square looking thread. Over here, just to do something different, I'm going to go ahead and create a different kind of thread. Same deal. You do really want to know where it's going to go. This time I'm going to do it as a cut, just to do something different. I know that the helix I created was on the outside, so sorry about that. So, but I do want to show you how to make both. So now I'm going to go in here and I'm going to create a cutting tool. This is very random in how I'm doing this. Traditionally, I would need to follow the rules of cutting tools. What am I going to cut with? How I'm going to make my thread. For example, when you look over here, crest, root, flank, all this information, minor diameter, pitch diameter, major diameter, all of this information I would need to account for when I'm creating this tool. Obviously, you'd never have a cut that's an exact dot in the middle, but that's what I'm doing. Okay. I'm going to go to features, and I'm going to, instead of a sweep, I want to do a sweep cut. Now you'll notice the standard toolbar set doesn't have sweep cut as a standard item. So you have to click out here in the grayish area, right mouse button. And what you have to do is you're going to add to your tool set. So you should have, nope, I take that back. Sweep cut's there. Hold on, I hit OK. It's there. It's like, wait a minute. It's there already. I was still in my sketch. Now I can pick sweep cut. I pick my item, which is that sketch. I pick my path and I hit OK, and I have the opposite. I have a cut into my part. And that is how you would make cuts. You have to know the dimension of your cut, or you have to know the dimensions of your add-on feature. You do have to know what's the distance between each item. You have to know that information. If I go and create a new drawing from this part, just to emphasize how this works. Okay, if I bring that part in, if I zoom in, my dimensions from here to here, see, I won't tag on any dimensions. Let's see if I can pull in model items. No dimensions to pull in, fine, be that way. There it goes. It dropped in all the information that it had available. So that's your gap. There's your distance to distance. The 0.06 is from here to here. That's the gap between each cut. That is what you would have to account for when you're creating your helix. It's all in the helix right there. If I go and I've got to edit the, I'll open the part of this. When I edit this helix, that 0.0625, that pitch, that is the distance from one curve to the next curve. If I change that, this is the place to change it. I can change how many. I can 0.03125, see that? This is the place to do all those changes. When you hit OK, then you have something tighter. Just like with this one, that's for the helix part. The shape that's created, that's the sweep. Whatever you're using as your sweep. In this case, I've got the cut sweep. So if I edit this feature, not the feature, I want to edit the sketch. If I edit that sketch, and go ahead and make this something, no, can't do that because that is the size, 0.03125. Now that should be interesting because that should cause potentially some issues. There we go. If your sketch overlaps itself, that's what I was trying to show. See how the sketch overlaps to the next sketch? Then it will fail because that is the pitch. So your shape has to fit within the pitch. So if I made it 0.02, slightly smaller, maybe not enough, let's go ahead and see what happens. It worked, but it didn't look like it did much. So let me, oh, okay, because the cut piece is in here, that's why. So let me change that one more time. I'm going to intentionally delete that. And I'm going to make something that looks a little different. I'm going to change this to 0.025. All right. It's 0.25, but I did that intentionally, so we hit OK. Still didn't fail. Darn it. But at least you'll see how it's starting to literally take shape. The one thing you'll notice is whenever you do any type of cut or an add, you'll see that the material the cut just ends. For those of you who are machinists, you know that's not the real world. I hate to tell you this, you're going to have to suck it up and create a new sketch that you convert entities on, and of all things, literally just extrude it out, which is not the traditional approach, and I know that because that's not how it literally happens in the real world. We actually pull our, run the tool and then slowly taper it out. So in this case, it's going to be very abrupt. It's going to look like that. Okay, that's how you would end that cut. I know it's not the best approach, but it gets the job done. You'd actually have to create another flute if you wanted to slowly flute out. So that's something to keep in mind. All right. And the same for the other end. Whoops. The other end, this shape becomes much more interesting if you want it to actually taper in. You'll have to create the other shape and create one of those loft so it ends correctly if that's what you want to do. Another approach some people have taken, they see like this guy, is you just basically create your helix off the part so that way it cuts in neatly. So there's a couple of ways to get around abrupt endings. In this case, they're inside the part, so you can't avoid it. Hopefully this helps you when you're making threads, internal threads as well as external threads, making cuts of any type. Take care. I gotta stop the video.